What's going on, everybody? This is Robo from All Bark, and this is my freshly updated 2023 NBA Draft Big Board. Today, instead of a top 30 like I did in the last video, I ranked my top 60 prospects and put them into different tiers to help show how I rank the prospects a bit better. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the big board, starting with the guys I think definitely can be taken in the second round here next week. Here's how I rank the guys I see being picked in the second round of the draft. I think my favorite guys in this group are definitely Jordan Walsh because of his defensive versatility and high motor. The other guy would be Jalen Slawson, who's just a super underrated player from a small school in Furman. He can flat out get you buckets whenever you need. Now, I have seen reports Chris Livingston may hear his name called in the first round. That does surprise me a lot, but there is a lot of upside there, so don't be surprised if my ranking seems real harsh on draft night. Now let's go ahead and get into the rest of the big board, starting with taking a look into the next tier guys I see being early second rounders that could possibly sneak into the back end of the first round. Seth Lundy is a guy who really helped his stock at the Combine Games. He's a really strong shooter from outside and projects to be a solid role player at the next level. He's got good size at 6'6", 220 pounds, and he rebounds well for his position. He's got a solid wingspan and is a solid defender who just fits the mold of the type of bench player a playoff contender really looks for. Emoni Bates, as you all know, is a former top draft prospect, many touted as the next Kevin Durant. Things really haven't worked out for him since then, and his stock has really fallen, especially after some off-the-court issues. But as a player, Emoni still has solid potential and just a flat-out bucket. I do believe there could be a team in the first round willing to take a chance on developing him, and I don't necessarily think he should be ranked as low as some others have him. Jaime Jaquez is a wing prospect with great size at 6'7" with a 6'10" wingspan. He's not an explosive athlete at all, but he's got a nice offensive game with a solid handle and can score in isolation well. He also has a solid post game for a guard. He's just a gifted all-around scorer rather than a shooter, but he does hit from distance at a decent clip still, and overall he's just a winning basketball player. Mo Gay is a 20-year-old big man who has 2 years of college ball under his belt. He's a tall and fluid power forward prospect who can handle the ball a bit and is pretty mobile, and could develop into a solid floor spacer with an improving jumper he showcased this season. He's a really solid rebounder and shot blocker already, and could definitely develop into a solid bench big at the next level. Trayce Jackson-Davis is an incredible college basketball player. He's listed at 6'9", 240 pounds and has a wingspan over 7 feet. He's a really strong passer as a big man and sees plays before they happen. He's incredibly gifted at scoring in the post and rebounding around the rim, but just lacks an adequate perimeter game at this point and isn't a super strong defender, but the potential is there if a team can develop him in those areas. Omax Prosper has a really strong combine that shot him up boards in this range. He has great defensive versatility and an NBA frame at 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan. He seems to be expanding his offensive game quite a bit and looks to be developing into a solid perimeter threat on top of some solid athleticism that can help him score off the ball as well. Andre Jackson is a very strong athlete who shows it on the defensive end as he constantly locks down his matchups. After games, you'll see Andre all over the stat sheet. He can play make offensively as well as score at the rim, especially in transition. He's not a strong outside threat, but he can hit shots when he's left wide open. He was a very big part of UConn's championship run, playing well on both ends of the floor throughout the whole tournament. James Naji is a super raw center prospect who has a lot of growth to do on the offensive end, but absolutely looks the part physically. He's got a crazy long wingspan at 7'5" and stands at 6'10" and is only 18 years old. He plays with a high motor that allows him to be a strong rim runner and shot blocker, and he rebounds the ball extremely well. Sidy Cissoko is a big, strong wing prospect who plays with really high energy. He's a solid off-ball defender and a pretty strong athlete, but he's not a developed shooter to this point. Offensively, he can score at the rim well and is a solid playmaker, so he does contribute still on the offensive end, and he's still very young with a good amount of potential that could potentially help him hear his name called in the first round. Julian Strawther is just a really good scorer who has a great feel for the game on offense. He's got a strong floater and hits from the perimeter at a really high clip in catch-and-shoot situations. He does need to improve his handle a bit, but he is a solid two-way player already. I think he can make an impact right away for pretty much any team. He also just turned 21 despite finishing his third year of college this past season, so he's a seasoned player already to this point. Amari Bailey is a prospect I'm higher on than others. He's a former 5-star prospect who played with Bronny James at Sierra Canyon and just a great two-way athlete who's shown playmaking flashes, but his primary value is definitely as a scorer. He is a solid ball handler and shot creator right now, and he can score from all three levels. He's really a do-it-all type of offensive player who doesn't have an elite trait that stands out just yet. Ryan Rupert is a great defensive prospect thanks to his enormous 7'3" wingspan. He's not too developed offensively yet, but he has shown some flashes of shot creation with an improving jumper. Early in the draft process, it was rumored he may have some lottery buzz, but it seems to have died off a bit. I think mainly because teams see that he needs a bigger offensive skill set. He does have the potential to be a solid two-way wing at the next level though. G.G. Jackson is a former projected top 10 pick with a ton of potential. He's a forward with a lot of guard skill as he's a solid shot creator and has a decent jump shot, but overall is just a very raw prospect and will need development. His stock's been slipping quite a bit lately as reports of poor workouts have come up and teams are unimpressed with his maturity level, but after the draft, if things go to plan, he can be a scary good all-around player. Terquavion Smith is a skinny, quick point guard who is an extreme athlete and he uses that to his advantage when he's attacking downhill. He's an explosive dunker as well as an elite outside threat with a deep extended range. He takes a lot of bad shots though, which hurts his percentages across the board and causes him to be a fairly inefficient player. He is one of the overall better bucket getters in this class, and I think he could end up being a first-round pick though. Chris Murray is a very similar player to his brother Keegan, but he is left-handed. He's an older prospect as well and not quite as good on ball as Keegan was, but he still brings a solid jump shot and some defensive upside. He has a decent post game and scores around the rim pretty well and has a great rebounding ability, posting a few 20 rebound performances this past season at Iowa. Marcus Sasser is my personal favorite non-lottery guard in this class. When you discuss the top bucket getters from this class, you have to bring up Marcus Sasser. He's just a dynamic 3-level scorer and a solid athlete. He initiates his offense whenever he wants, and he plays with a lot of heart and high energy. He is a bit undersized for the guard spot considering he's not much of a playmaker yet, but again, he is just an absolute bucket, and he can be a big-time bench scorer at the next level. Colby Jones is a highly skilled combo guard who excels in the mid-range area and can extend his range out to the perimeter. He's an all-around player who plays hard and has a solid IQ. His biggest knock is probably his athleticism, as he won't blow by you on the offensive end and could struggle to stay in front of quicker guards, but he is pretty skilled at poking the ball away from his man and projects to be a solid all-around guard in the NBA. Brandon Podziemski is an incredible shooting prospect who put up nearly 20 points per game at Santa Clara his sophomore season, shooting 44% from deep, and has also shown a lot of playmaking ability on the offensive end. He plays with a really high motor and confidence and rebounds extremely well for his size, standing at just 6'5". His biggest weaknesses are defense and athleticism, so if he doesn't run out his game all the way, he may just project to be an offensive weapon off the bench at the next level. Noah Clowney is a really versatile big man who can space the floor and also control the post. His long wingspan helps him rebound at a high level, and he could become a great shot blocker. He shoots well from the corner, is only 18 still, so he's got a lot of growth coming to his game. He's already a solid stretch 4 or 5 man fit for the modern NBA. Max Lewis is a guy I wouldn't be surprised to hear his name called quite a bit earlier than this ranking. He's a great scorer and strong shooter and a pretty good ball handler and overall just a solid hustle defender. He has the size and versatility to fit at both the 2 and the 3 in the NBA and can make an impact on a playoff team right away. He's quite often compared to guys like Devin Vassell, which I do like that a lot. He's a strong bet to get a decent minutes right out the gate. Derek Lively is a former top 5 ranked prospect whose main attraction is his elite rim protection. He may be the best rim protector in this class, but the downside of drafting him is that he's also a project offensively. He has great size and athleticism at 7'2", which helps him be a great finisher at the rim, but he just doesn't have much of a post game yet, so he really relies on that athleticism. If he continues to develop a jumper, that raises his ceiling big time and could make him well worth a mid-first selection. Leonard Miller is a taller wing prospect who went through a growth spurt and now stands at 6'10". He has the size of a power forward but plays on the wing due to his late growth, so he has a lot of guard skill as well. He's got raw talent and he smartly chose to pull out of the 2022 draft to improve his game in the G League, and he did just that, becoming much more efficient from the floor. He has a solid handle and pull-up game and a reworked jump shot, which is still developing, but could make him a really solid prospect. Dariq Whitehead is a former top 10 pick thanks to some great athleticism, but he slipped because of some injury concern. He's just recently had a surgery, but he's ready to go by training camp it sounds. Dariq is a great on-ball scorer and shot creator and has turned into a very good jump shooter. He's an active defender as well and uses his longer arms to his advantage. He's an improving ball handler and could end up much better than his draft range. Bilal Coulibaly is a defensive wing prospect who is fairly raw offensively. I've watched more of him lately and he moved him up my board quite a bit, but still not as high as some others have him just due to the raw offensive skill set. He has solid size and great length, but he's just not a great shot creator yet and turns the ball over pretty often. He is still 18 and can become a solid outside shooter, which would really allow him to be one of the better players from this class. Jet Howard is a straight-up shooter. I just did a breakdown on him a bit ago, and he's just so impressive offensively. He's got a strong bag with the handle, which helps him be a pure offensive weapon. He takes shots with some confidence all over the floor, and it doesn't matter who's in front of him. He can be a big-time scorer at the next level, but is really lacking IQ-wise in the defensive end, which is why he isn't seen in the lottery in mocks anymore, but he still projects to be a really good player. Jordan Hawkins is probably by far the best shooter in this class. His off-ball ability is flat-out elite. He has very clean shooting mechanics and a pure jumper form, and has incredible cardio that he uses to his advantage to get open looks off the ball. His movement shooting ability is something every NBA team would love to have on their roster, and he's just a solid defender. Not a plus one, but he doesn't get bullied out there. I see him being an immediate impact shooting guard wherever he's drafted to. Nick Smith is a former top 5 prospect who had an injury that held him out for most of the season, but he chose to play through it after being out for a while. He's a lanky scoring guard, a solid but inconsistent shooter. He's a fluid athlete who scores anytime he's near the rim and utilizes a really great floater pretty often. He's got a solid mid-range game as well and can surprise you with his bounce as he can get up and put a guy on a poster occasionally. Jalen Hood-Schifino is a combo guard who may fit in at point guard in some systems thanks to his advanced playmaking ability and strong mid-range game. He has the range to shoot well from 3 and does so, but he excels scoring from the mid-level and playmaking out of those shots. He's great in the pick and roll as a ball handler and projects to be a solid two-way guard at the next level, and if his outside shooting continues to develop into more of a strength, he could be a big-time hit for any team drafting in this range. Keontae George is a flat-out bucket getter. He scores from all 3 levels and is an above-average athlete with elite handle. He can create his own offense and get buckets whenever, and he's very crafty. You can tell offense just comes naturally to him. When he's hot, you simply can't slow him down. He's got a deep bag of moves to get to his spots and torch you from anywhere on the floor, but when he's cold, he can get really cold. His biggest weakness is definitely his lack of defensive ability. Bryce Sensabaugh is a pure bucket getter. He's got a lot of similarities to a guy like Devin Booker out of college, just a really strong feel for scoring the basketball from anywhere on the floor, a solid handle, and a great jumper with elite form. He's a 3-level scorer, and his body reminds me a bit of TJ Warren. His go-to offensive ability is definitely his pull-up game. If he develops into more of a playmaker, he could become a great all-around offensive player in the NBA. Kobe Bufkin is arguably the biggest riser of this class, as he couldn't see the floor at all as a freshman, but this year was the leader of Michigan's offense. His stock has risen a ton over the last few weeks as teams see the high potential and continuous growth to his game. He's a two-way player who can do anything you ask of him offensively, both on and off the ball. His best ability is finishing, as he shot over 70% at the rim and is incredibly crafty off the drive. Woj reported the other day he may have a lottery promise between the picks 8 and 13. Grady Dick is an offensive juggernaut with great positional size who should definitely hear his name called in the lottery of this draft. He's not a great defender right now, but he isn't poor by any means. He plays with high effort and energy and makes a lot of big-time winning plays in key moments. Offensively, he's a sharpshooter who can also create off the dribble for both himself and his teammates, and he also sees the floor pretty well and makes the right reads. Anthony Black is a tall, facilitating guard, often compared to Josh Giddey, who he himself said he loves to watch play and model his game after. Black is a strong defender who can guard the best opposing guard every night. He does need to improve his scoring ability, especially in terms of his jumper, but he does control the game at his own pace very well. He's an advanced playmaker and can make highlight reel plays both as a passer and a finisher. Cason Wallace is the best defensive guard in the class in my opinion. He's often compared to Drew Holiday due to his size and offensive ability, as well as the high motor and growing catch and shoot ability. He does have a bit of a pull-up game and has said that is the area he wants to continue working on improving the most. He's strong in transition and can make plays late in the shot clock and just a really reliable guard you want to have out there at all times. Taylor Hendricks is a lanky 3 and D4 prospect, but honestly, he's more than that. He's an athletic freak who can score in many ways, but definitely needs to improve his handle to become more well-rounded as a driver. He has extremely high upside as a defender and rim protector, and can help teams win now on both ends of the floor. Depending on the fit, he could end up being one of the better players from this class altogether. Ausar Thompson is someone you really can't put a comparison on, as we've never seen a prospect quite like him before. Ausar is a standout athlete with great defensive tools and abilities and plays with incredible high IQ and seems to always be a play ahead of everyone else. He's got an advanced handle and can beat guys off the dribble with ease and create space for himself to get a mid-range shot off whenever he wants. The jump shot is definitely a concern though, but as long as he can become an average shooter, I think he can be a future all-star in this league. Cam Whitmore is a top-tier athlete, one of the best in this year's class, and he has a super high vertical leap, which is one of the reasons why he's such a great scorer. He can put the ball on the floor and attack the basket with that athleticism and score at will. He's got a fairly strong jump shot as well that's improving each year so far. He's very young and will only be 19 throughout his entire rookie season, and he projects to be an off-ball wing with solid defensive upside. His best player comp is definitely Miles Bridges. Jarace Walker is the best defender in the class outside of Wemby. He's a freak of nature athlete, as someone as big and built as him should not be able to run and jump the way he can. Offensively, he's already shown a strong outside jumper and some creation ability, but he's best suited for an off-ball offensive role. He plays with high intensity and is an advanced playmaker for his expected role. Had he not played for a title contender, he probably would have shown more of the offensive ability we see in his high school clips, which are the real reason why I have him ranked ahead of Whitmore in the 5 spot. There's just no denying his offensive potential, and if he continues to grow as an isolation scorer, the sky is the limit for Jarace. Amen Thompson, just like his twin, is something we've really never seen before. He's by far the best all-around athlete in the draft and may end up being one of the best pure athletes in the NBA from day one. Offensively, he's an elite shot creator and facilitator who sees the floor better than anyone else in this draft, but the big issue is that he really lacks a jump shot and has extremely poor form. It will probably take him quite a long time to develop in that area, but if he does, there is just no limit to his ceiling, because he also has strong defensive instincts as well. I don't believe he is as good as a defender as Asar, but the ability and athleticism is absolutely there, and he may have the 3rd highest ceiling in this draft. Brandon Miller is an absolute monster. At 6'9", he's a two-way forward with elite scoring ability from all 3 levels. He is a good playmaker as well to complement that scoring. He's a better shooter than a finisher for sure, but as he improves as an athlete, his finishing should not be much of a concern. Defensively, he's a strong on-ball defender and shot blocker and should be able to handle almost any matchup at the next level. He's not an anchor, but he does improve any team's defense right away. He compares himself to Paul George a lot. Even though he's not the same athlete as PG, he does have similar scoring qualities and a pretty smooth handle. When Miller adds more strength to his frame, he can be an unstoppable force on both ends. He's already shown the ability to go at guys one-on-one and beat them off the dribble, but the more he improves athletically, the ceiling is potentially all NBA level. Scoot Henderson is definitely the 2nd best player in the draft and probably has the least buff potential in my eyes. With the recent news of Steph Curry wanting to be his mentor and take him under his wing, Scoot is absolutely set up for success in his NBA career. It isn't often that shorter, athletic point guards lead teams to championships, but in this situation, I could see Scoot breaking that mold. He's often compared to prime Derrick Rose or a prime Russell Westbrook with a better jump shot to this point, and I think you can see why when watching his game. His shot selection did cause his lower percentages this season, but he showed both a great pull-up and catch-and-shoot ability. He will improve as an on-ball defender, and he's often called a generational guard for a reason. Victor Wembanyama is simply an alien type of prospect. There really isn't much to say about him other than he does absolutely everything on the offensive end. He's an excellent ball handler for his size. He shoots the ball from anywhere on the floor, even off the dribble. It's not even worth attempting to drive on him, as your shot's just guaranteed to get blocked, basically. I expect the Spurs to manage Wemby a fair amount, at least for his first season in the NBA, as he adds size and tries to improve his ability to stay healthy and improve his longevity, because his season with his overseas team plays much more spaced out games rather than the NBA schedule, so that schedule will definitely become much more of a toll on his body. If everything works out health-wise, there is no reason he can't be as generational of a basketball player as it gets for the Spurs. So that's going to wrap it up for my full 60-man big board for the 2023 draft. This will be my final big board as we head into the draft this upcoming week. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Feel free to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you made it to the end. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.